Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family. We hope you guys are doing well.
Indeed we do. Hello there.
So please do subscribe both channels and have that little bell clicked as each has unique videos. We're talking about a congressman who was attacked while on campaign, and we have a little update on that situation. And we were talking about the elites having a fall surprise. Yeah, it does really feel like this fall is going to be one for the record books in many ways. So this is Biden's new energy secretary. Let's listen.
Right now, we are witnessing the beginning of one of the most significant events in human history, the clean energy transition. It is long overdue and it can't progress fast enough. Right now.
Yeah, the clean energy transition. Isn't it amazing how in sync everything that we see in our government, in the UK's government, in Canada, in Australia, I mean, we could go on down the line. Basically, they're all totally in sync with the few, if you know what we mean.
I know, it does just seem to be like such a synchronistic thing globally.
Yeah, everything that we have going on all at the same time, like these wildfires. Texas hit by a record 24 wildfires, burnt through 7,700 acres, destroyed multiple homes amid record 110 degrees Fahrenheit heat wave and winds that have fanned flames. You know, it's again, we send our prayers and best wishes to everybody that's going through these tough times, as, you know, there's not many areas that have been spared from either fire, flood, drought, tornado, hurricane, you name it. As we could see some of these pictures, Texas, we've looked at the drought monitor. It's very, very dry, suspiciously dry. And, you know, where we ended up settling in typically gets 3 to 6 inches of rain. It's getting just a fraction of the lower end of that. And yet, like today, it's cloudy. It looks like it should downpour, and it probably won't. Again, there are things that can be used to dry up the atmospheric condensation, so to speak, and there are things that can be used that can augment it. And that's really what we see going on here. So you see Slovenia facing one of the biggest wildfires in its history. And this is drone footage from Poland, tracts of scorched land burning from wildfires. Italy had massive wildfires and drought going too. France, Spain, we've seen it all over. We were just talking about the UK wildfires, and there were some mentions of arson happening. And you gotta wonder what's real and what is being triggered by people.
I know, it's just one of those questions that it begs to be asked at this point.
And this is Portugal. She's trying to throw out the fire on the tree with a bucket at a time. And then we have the founder of the Weather Channel. This is the guy that founded the Weather Channel. The Weather Channel. Yes, the founder of the Weather Channel. Let's see what he says. This is from quite a while ago, but let's just listen to his words because they're very telling.
Clear, Mr. Kenny's not a scientist. I am. He's the CEO of the Weather Channel now. I was the founder of the Weather Channel, not the co-founder.
And I'm glad you did, because I am addicted to the Weather Channel. I watch a lot of cable news.
Now, hold on just a minute. I'm not done. And CNN has taken a very strong position on global warming that it is a consensus. Well, there is no consensus in science. Science isn't a vote. Science is about facts. And if you get down to the hard, cold facts, there's no question about it. Climate change is not happening. There is no significant man-made global warming now. There hasn't been any in the past, and there's no reason to expect any in the future. There's a whole lot of baloney, and yes, it has become a big political point of the Democratic Party and part of their platform, and I regret it's become political instead of scientific, but the science is on my side.
I don't think we're going to come to a conclusion about the topic right here. What I do wonder,
I know
though,
we're
is when
not,
you
because
see
you wouldn't allow it to happen on CNN. But I'm happy that I got on the air and got a chance to talk to your viewers. Hello, everybody. There is no global warming.
There you go. That's the founder of the Weather Channel before, of course, it was, bought out. And, this is a scientist, and isn't that interesting? That's so anti everything we see from all of the establishment, is it not?
I know. It seems like this is something that probably happened one time, and it's not like they're going to let anyone else that's going to tell the truth on that channel ever again, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Environmental apocalypse predictions have failed for half a century, and this goes through some of them. And, of course, we've talked about the fact that, the polar caps should be melted by now. And boy, when I went to search, there's all sorts of fact-checking articles out there talking about, no, Al Gore didn't say this. No, they didn't say that. No. Fact-checkers say, oh, come on. Fact-checkers, we know what they are. And again, this is the same entities that control the views. And, there might be 10,000 views. They're going to say there's 666 views.
Right. That's what they do best. They really control the narrative very well.
So you had a biologist, Paul Ehrlich, who became famous with publication of the population bomb back in 1968, regularly predicted global mass starvation by the 70s and 80s because of overpopulation and resource depletion. Didn't happen. In 1970, he predicted the oceans would be dead in less than a decade. Hasn't happened. Americans would face water rationing by 74, food rationing by 1980. Hasn't happened. And there's many others. There's so many. We could look at all these predictions. We could look at a lot of predictions concerning the plague upon the land from a year or two ago. They've utterly failed. Utterly failed. And here we see another. Doomsday approaches. Scientists say that Earth will run out of usable topsoil in 60 years. Yeah. Well, the system in place, which is the corporate system, which really is the powers that be that are talking to us about all this, doom and gloom scenario, and it's all our fault when they're the ones that make all the policies, they're the ones that make all the laws, they're the ones that put all this into effect in the first place. So it's really, they're the problem. Plain and simple, they're the problem. I think people could adapt to new ways, but this is not about adapting and recognizing we need to save the planet. This is a resource power control grab, and we know it. We see it. You're not going to be able to pull the wool back over the lies. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. How many times? How many times? And here's 10 dark conspiracy theories that turned out to be true. And there's many of these out there. And again, they're chopping down trees next door, so the dogs are very uppity at the moment. Project Sunshine, despite its cheery name, Project Sunshine was by far one of the darkest conspiracies ever conceived, and the most horrifying to be proven real. The project was commissioned by the U.S. Atomic Energy Committee and the U.S. Air Force, designed to investigate the effects of nuclear radiation on humans and the environment. Project Sunshine saw the U.S. government harvest and used, often without the permission of parents, dead bodies of children and babies and parts. Younger children typically have higher amounts of strontium in their bones, meaning that their tissues are more susceptible to radiation damage. Thus, they made better test subjects for this project. And again, this video will get demonized because you can't talk about these things, because it could be upsetting to their viewers. It's the government doing these things. That should be upsetting to the viewers. How about Project MKUltra? Very real. We know firsthand about this. And again, it's mind control on people. This is real. Absolutely real. The government experimented on its citizens with hallucinogenic drugs, with all sorts of different psychedelics, and even through horrible barbaric deprivation matters as well. They used all sorts of horrible ways to experiment on people in order to mind control and to see what works. When we had prohibition, They actually did poison the alcohol. That was a conspiracy that was later proven true. How about the government spying on people? Well, of course, Snowden revealed a lot, and there's a reason why that whole situation is the way it is. But it's a fact now. It's total fact. Yes, everything you do, everything we do, we're always being spied on. We know there's many times when they hack into our computers and they turn things off on us because they can. And it's a way of them trying to disrupt us and our flow. But yeah, in 2016, U.S. government agencies sent approximately 50,000 requests for user data to Facebook, 28,000 to Google, 9,000 to Apple. Yeah, I mean, always, everything we do, we're being spied on. And again, the government is supposed to be of the people, by the people, for the people. It's not. That's the reality people are waking up to. The Gulf of Tonkin, on August 2nd, 1964, in the midst of the Vietnam War, the USS Maddox, on an intelligent mission along North Vietnam's coast, allegedly fired upon and damaged several North Vietnamese torpedo boats that had been stalking it in the Gulf of Tonkin. The Maddox was reportedly attacked by North Vietnamese vessels on August 4th. In 2005, an undated NSA publication was declassified, revealing there was no attack. Again, justification for war on lies. We call it a false flag. But yes, they're real. There's many false flags to get the public behind something that we wouldn't normally do. And, we could bypass the first lady running the government because, none of the first ladies or presidents really run things. The U.S. government's weather manipulation. There's a wiki on that. We showed you a million times. Yet, yes, it's all declassified. HARP is real. It's totally real. Totally real. Weather manipulation, totally real. Operation Popeye, I've talked about it numerous times recently again. And we've been touching on this for the entire time the channel has been up. Cloud seeding, yeah, they did it in Vietnam back in the 70s, guys. Much of what we see is totally weather warfare on humanity, plain and simple. And this is actually talking about the Dalai Lama being on, the alphabet soup payroll. Again, it's so deep. It's so deep. You just keep uncovering stuff. And Operation Mockingbird, 1950s program, the CIA recruited and propped up various media organizations to influence public opinion. Yes, unfortunately, our CIA, our FBI, all these agencies, perhaps sometimes they actually do protect us from bad guys, so to speak. But much of the time, they're just watching us. They're just watching us and making sure that we are compliant little citizens for the elites.
Well, the thing is that they don't want other countries or other entities to gain anything by monitoring us, by experimenting on us. No, we are all theirs to experiment on.
Yeah, exactly. We could throw an Operation Sea Spray over in San Francisco. A man died because they sprayed different bacteria on the population. That was in the 70s. We could add so many of these different operations. How about the Tuskegee Airmen? Seeing what the effects of syphilis are going to be like on the population. We could get into the sickle maker and all the things that he's been a part of as well. It goes on and on and on. Why would we trust a damn thing any of them tell us? We can't trust the media. We can't trust our own government. It's just a fact. It's just the way it is. So we saw this massive sinkhole. And this was in New York. Then we see here what's brewing in the Hudson, bubbling in the river stumps environmentalists. And so this keeps moving forward even when I pause it. But basically, the rolling waters seen on the Hudson Bank is puzzling local environmentalists. There was a plume of black smoke seen in the area on July 13th. That remains something that people are curious. Is it volcanic activity going on, around Manhattan? What's up with this? Well, actually, this is farther up I should say. It's alongside the Hudson, heading up towards the Tappan Zee, but not that far up. Now, the reason why I was thinking of Manhattan is because you actually had a boat capsize that they don't know why it capsized. Now, this was, down off the coast of Manhattan, and you had 2 people die. This is on the 13th, so this is like, it's just curious. It's just curious. These 2 events, are they connected? Are they not connected? They don't know why the boat flipped. It could have just been somebody, that was being a little bit aggressive in their driving, so to speak. But we do see NASA satellites showing Lake Mead water levels plummeting, and it is pretty staggering. And, with me, hey, the way I am, and I know the reality of these CONS piracies, there are big cycles. Sure, there are big cycles. But, again, I think what we're seeing here is artificially flavored, the vast majority of it. Look at the change. Look at the change. That is huge. It's just a fraction of what it was.
Mm-hmm. Well, and what they blame these changes on are just horrible, because they keep throwing it back on us. We're the reason. And they keep throwing these pictures up, these informations up, for the last 100 years. There's countless claims have been made about all of these changes in the atmosphere. And none of them have come to fruition. None of them.
So you see 2000 on the left, 2021 in the middle, and then 2022 on the right seems to be accelerating. It is shocking in so many ways, yet not unexpected. Again, we are in the time of the great reveal. And you had a 20-minute storm with 12 months of consequences. And, this is another case where what happened? Well, whole crops get destroyed. Crops that were doing unusually well. As this farmer says, the land's all gone. Corn is snapped off. Canola is no longer yellow. The storm damage will likely lead to, obviously, a more reduced cash flow for farmers. It's all about bankrupting the farmers. And this was up in Canada, and, we're seeing it around the globe. Meanwhile, all that money you're paying for in gas, talk about that. A 652% surge in profits. Is that not record gouging? 652% surge in profit. How can that be allowed to happen? Well, because it's part of the plan. It's part of the plan to get you to submit to anything and everything that they decide you're going to submit to. You're going to own nothing. They're going to own everything. You're going to eat insects. They're going to have fine dining. They're going to be getting even fatter, these fat cats at the top. Berlin bails out energy giant Uniper, carves out 30% stake for state amid Europe's gas crisis. So the government rescue there, which will allow Berlin to get a 30% stake in the energy giant. Here, let me give this to Cindy.
Mm-hmm. Right. They throw a lot of headlines out there and a lot of reasonings, and the reasonings all follow the same thing. There are reasons why certain people, they want to remain in charge, and they want to continue to push their own narrative for their own benefit. And this is just ongoing, never ends until we decide to make it end.
Fascism. 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 Fascism.
That's what you call it. A system of government marked by centralized authority under a dictator capitalist economy. So it's a capitalist economy, subject to stringent governmental controls, violent suppression of the opposition, and typically a policy of belligerent nationalism and racism. Now, in this case, what they want to do is turn us into one global fascist society. Oppressive, yes, dictatorial control. It's the government controlling business, and the government and business become one. It becomes a corporate controlled world, i.e.,
fascism.
That's what we got going, guys. On a global level, this is what we see happening in front of our very eyes. Oh, isn't it hilarious, too, that they are the ones that are paying for certain people to dress up in all black outfits, and they label them the antithesis of what they really are. But this is what we got in this world. It's upside down, it's inside out. Completely back-asswards. But it makes sense when you realize the real agenda. By the way, the CEO of China's real estate giant Evergrande resigns. We're seeing a lot of people at the top resigning and various things. We're seeing a lot of people booking for the hills or getting ready to go underground. And it won't be too long before they're all kind of underground, so to speak. They will all be safely away from the masses, but they're still going to have their control grid in place. So again, this is where we got to keep sharing, spreading the word, letting people know what's going on. Russia and Ukraine sign a UN deal to export grain, relieve the looming nightmare for developing countries. Oh yeah, UN. Oh, what was I? Gosh, what was that anagram? When you put together the WEF and you put the N behind it, UN behind it, you get we fun. Mm-hmm. That's what they're having here. They're having a lot of fun. We fun. Yes, the WEF, the UN, WHO, who we fun. Yeah, that's their idea of a joke. Who we fun. Yeah, aren't they funny? Yes, well, that is the control grid. And it's been said before that, U.S. troops will not eventually put down U.S. citizens. But many people realize what's going to happen with the blue helmets. And who knows? The bulk of the troops over here, maybe it's going to initially start out. Maybe not exactly that Red Dawn scenario, but under the guise of helping. Again, the UN often is sending troops into many, many areas. But at some point, we will be looking at a direct confrontation, as they've already telegraphed that in many ways. Russia will not sell oil to countries that cap the price. And, everything that's happening is going in reverse. We talked about the sanctions. Number 46 has said a lot of things that have turned out to be exactly the opposite of what he said. And he did say the ruble is rubbish. Not the case. Having a record year. And in fact, we see that BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, is expanding. There's a lot of candidates that want to jump on board because the NATO ship is sinking. And this is all part of it. Those DEA-GEL numbers told this story. Russia slashes key interest rate, while on the West, the interest rates are going up. Exact opposite of what we see going on. And here you go. Hadn't realized the path-breaking former CIA director Gina Haspel. She joined the board of arms manufacturer BAE Systems, just in time for BAE to become the chief supplier of heavy artillery to Ukraine. So nice to see she landed on her feet. Yeah, so this is the former CIA director who's now employed by the military-industrial complex and making a ton of profits sending military equipment to Ukraine. Can we see how the system works?
She just, with the smile on her face, she looks rather proud of herself. Like, I've accomplished this for me. And we got to look at all the headlines and watch to see what they're pushing and what they're pulling and what they're saying, and just do our best to keep ourselves balanced, because this is definitely very triggering. I don't know who it wouldn't trigger. I know a lot of people who simply just cannot watch because their sensitivity won't tolerate it right now. But there are ways we can look at these things and then detach from them in a way where it's not going to harm us, where our emotions are not going to be going up and down like a roller coaster, because in many ways that's what they want. They really want us upset, and we have to kind of watch that and not give them what they want, because they're wanting people to do certain things to pass more laws. And we really have to hold on to what we have right now, stay solid, but also detach away from this system so that we're not dependent on it.
As I just watched a young lady walk by the house with a mask on. You know, I mean, there's nobody, it's just, people can be really trained. And so I was going to put this up on EEARTS. I think we need to put this on Evolutionary so we don't stick EEARTS totally out in the dumpster bin, so to speak. When you look at the sickle maker's retirement pension, it went up dramatically since the plague upon the land hit. So yeah, he earns a federal salary of $480,654 a year. By 2024, he's going to be making $530,000 in salary, an increase of $200,000 since 2014. His pension should be $414,000. That's actually more than the president currently has. And when you think about it, and all of his accomplishments, and again, this is a federal situation, federal. What does that mean? You know, don't ever think that the federal government is their money. That's us. That's our taxes. How many of you approve? Please leave your comments, guys. Republican lawmaker demands Bill Gates testify before Agriculture Committee over his farmland purchases. We've talked about this, and it's getting more and more questioned. You know, obviously what's going on when we look to Bill Gates, he's got five massive mansions. Because of this scenario, which the head, the guy that founded the Weather Channel, says is total bunk. You know, everybody else is going to be eating crickets and mealyworms, and we're going to be taxed on our carbon imprint. And he's got 5 massive mansions. Well, they're different than us. Yeah, you know, look at these houses. This is in Seattle. $63 million to build this. 66,000 square feet. He's divorced. One person? Well, who knows who's there. But anyway, 66,000 square feet for a family of 6 is insanity. 6,000 square feet is, in my humble opinion, a little bit much. I think, you know, again, everybody, it's up to you what you can afford and what, you know. The system, it doesn't speak equality. No, it's all about cultivating the ego, power. And those that have no conscience, those that will put the masses anywhere the consortium of these controllers wants, they get this lap of luxury. This is his home in Del Mar, California. You know, $43 million. Indian Wells, California, 13,500. I mean, the guy's got like over 100,000 square feet of living space amongst his mansions. Over in Wyoming. He's not worried about Yellowstone blowing, apparently, or if it does and he loses that house, and he's got others. Jupiter Island, Florida. Yeah. You want to talk about extravagance? Oh, he's a philanthropist. Philanthropist, my ass. That's just a bunch of bunk. When you have that type of wealth, he's working for himself. That's who he's working for. He's not working for any of us. No, he doesn't give a crap about any of us. And that's just the bottom line. So this, we were talking about this, the congressman who's running to be the governor of New York, you know, the guy that jumped up on the stage with a sharp object that, you know, gratefully didn't hurt him, did get arrested, booked, but then immediately released. And, you know, you could watch video here too. I mean, his mental state doesn't seem to be good. There's a lot of people whose mental state is not good. There's a lot of people suffering from oxygen depletion to the brain right now. And you really can't blame them so much now. Decisions they made in the past are causing that in many cases. But you see here that the New York Democrat Governor Kathy Hochul's campaign sent an email about all the campaign events being held by Lee Zeldin, her Republican challenger in New York governor race prior to this, a man's attempt on him. And the way it was described as a, you know, that term, yeah, got rile people up. This is all about riling people up in a negative way. So we must not lose our cool. We must not lose our cool. We must not become like them.
No, not at all. And, you know, we looked at this earlier today, and, you know, now they're saying depression is not caused by a chemical imbalance in the brain, say scientists. And this really, really upsets me, and it touches me at home because I really had a lot of difficulty growing up and as a young adult. I mean, I just had a lot of problems, period. I didn't know what was going on with me and with my brain, all of this information. And I just needed help because, as many of you know, the emotional torture that people endure that have depression is so unbearable. It is so difficult. And it's really, I don't think it's really widely understood unless you've actually stood in that place of someone who's dealt with this. It's very, very debilitating. And all along, you know, I mean, they've been giving us these things that they knew darn good and well did not work. You know, the best things that we can do for us is look at our surroundings, find out where your stresses are, and step out of that. That is so important, that we learn our stresses and we learn what is not good for us, because it is the stress that does send us downhill. And finding new ways of coping, understanding our emotions, bringing mind, body, soul together. And that's something that we do when we are working on ourselves to bring clarity and bring an understanding. But I know so many people who were affected by this and afflicted by doctors so-called helping them, and now they're dealing with this massive backlash, and finally the science is catching up to something that was probably known all along. Again, it's more about experimenting. It's more about putting us out into a space where they can run tests, do things, and just take people to a place that's not healthy. Now, of course, I'm not a doctor. I can't recommend you do anything, but with my journey, I can talk about my personal journey and what I did. But I just knew that it was something that was not helping me. So I did. I took a few years and I took my time, and I got myself away from all of those things that I knew in some way were making me sick, yet people I trusted were saying, oh no, they're helping you, you need them. So I did take my time, and through exercise, through good diet, through energy work, through helping myself, and therefore I can help others, I've really come a long way, and I haven't been better in my entire life. So that's just something that really struck a chord with me, and I wanted to share with you guys that if you've dealt with this, I understand your struggle, and do take the time to care for yourself and do what you can to change your diet, change your lifestyle, get some exercise, drink a lot of water, because I can't tell you how important it is to have the cells be able to transmit information. We are electric beings. So it's not only do we raise our vibration, we need to raise our electrical activity and throughout our whole body. So what we eat, it needs to be very electrical also. It needs to have that electricity element to us, because we are electric beings. It's not chemically driven like they've told us all along. It's vibrationally driven. So really important, that diet that we're looking at, and it can really help so much.
Well, the reason why they would say it's, a chemical imbalance is to treat it with other chemicals. That would only make sense as we, again, we look at the pharmaceutical sales, the pharmaceutical industry, the size of it. We know so much money is being made off of these things. So again, it's all about back to lobbying, which is nothing other than just paid bribery when you get down to it. So in traditional Chinese medicine, all disease is really viewed as repressed, suppressed, unprocessed emotions. And we're emotional beings, and we need to process emotions. When we don't let certain emotions out, it can turn into different forms of disease. If you are not speaking your truth, so to speak, you'll find people get all sorts of thyroid diseases, goiters, hypothyroidism, things along those lines. If you hold too much anger, you might end up with liver problems. If you have too much fear resides in the kidneys. So you might end up with kidney problems. So, again, this is part of understanding the as above, so below, as within, so without, the fractal nature of the universe. Every single organ is reflected in your hands, your feet, and your earlobes. This is all part of what they don't really want us to teach. It's all about emotions. And they manipulate us through these emotions. And just wanted to share with you this is a good day. This is a good day. I would say this is a good day for me. Man and his best friend playing at the beach. That's what life is all about. This is what I want to retire to. I don't think I could take Rama on my back. He's going to be a little bit too much weight for that. But yeah, we get a good sized board. Let's see if we could teach him how to do that.
Mm-hmm. And, look at the relationship he has with his pups. That is just pure love. It's a safe love, and he's able to express himself, and those dogs can express themselves. And that's actually something that can raise our hormone levels, that can put us in a much happier place. So our pets are truly, truly our angels. And if you're having trouble, definitely lean into them, love on them, because they're going to give it right back, and it's very symbiotic.
Again, realize where your money's going. Anything that you see federal, it's you. It's you. It's me. It's all of us. Anything. Federal subsidies. Federal salaries. The reason why we work so much is so that people like Gates and the sickle maker could have so many houses. They are getting fat, and they are living off the cream of society at the expense of society. We are meant to do things like this, to be creative, express ourselves, play, enjoy our lives, not be slaves toiling for the elite. So you got to ask yourself, am I willing to do whatever it takes to get out of that system? What does that look like? Again, I go back to that biblical saying where the rich man's son says, what do I have to do to really follow you? Give up everything and let's get going. Can you do that? Again, many people couldn't. Many people couldn't even, look for another job and succumbed. And were told, you're going to have to do this, this, and this to keep your job. And even though they knew they didn't want to, they did. And so many regret it now. It's still not too late. We can always right our ship. This future is not written in stone as much as they want you to think it is. It's not. And we are having a bigger effect than they want to admit. And this is why they're uncomfortable, and they will do that full court press. Whenever we're pushing and we're making what would you say? We're making progress. We'll just leave it that way, headway. That's when they will always pull out another wild card. So we need to be prepared for that. And we need to get out of the system as much as possible. So many people are so inspiring with what they've done to get out of the system. And you can still find them on YouTube too. So many amazing families out there that we've talked about many times. A lot of these homesteaders, like the Holler homesteads, that basically they just bought their property as land because it had 2 houses on it that were basically kind of condemned. But they rehabbed them, and they utilize one for storage, the other they live out of. And these are the type of things we can do. And they're debt-free, and they're young. They're in their 30s, and they're totally debt-free, and they're self-sustaining. Yeah, you still got to worry about taxes until something changes there. But again, get out of the system as much as you possibly can, whatever that looks like for you. So thank you for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon. As always, God bless. Much love. Namaste.
Namaste.